This episode is sponsored by Archaeological Tours. Want to dig deeper into Mexico's indigenous past and present? Allow Archaeological Tours to customize your Yucatan adventure. Archaeological works hand in hand with local indigenous guides to provide a tour that is entertaining, educational, and beneficial to the local community. For an adventure like no other, check out archaeogato.com. That's ARKEOGATO.com. Or just follow the link in the show notes. Now, on with the show.
You must excuse me. I've grown quite weary.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Whiskey, crosses, and fascists. A dispatch from Aztlantis. Daybreak comes hard and fast at the Sagebrush Inn and Suites. A rundown adobe relic sitting on the edge of Taos, still pretending to be a respectable establishment while its stucco flakes off like dying skin. The place must have been quite something during its heyday, back when turquoise jewelry and fry bread were still considered exotic by the road-tripping elite. But now, it's just a sun-bleached carcass sagging under the weight of its own history. The night before, I had stayed up far too late and drank far too much, swapping old war stories with a pack of archaeologists I started my career with years ago at the University of New Mexico. As luck would have it, we were all staying at the same dilapidated faux Pueblo Inn. I spotted them unloading gear in the cracked parking lot outside my room, and I walked over to say hello. And that, as they say, was that. There's a special place in hell for whoever designed my cell phone's alarm. That shrill sound pierced my skull at dawn, violently jerking me out of a half-dream and into the harsh reality of another field day. I slowly got up, cursing technology and my own bad decisions, and started the grim routine of getting dressed for the mountain. I could hear my crew already milling about outside by the Forerunner. I downed my coffee, hoping for a spark of energy before the 2.5-hour climb up the business side of a ski resort. We call it dead walking, the walk before the walk, the long hike before you can even begin the day's work. And today, the name has never felt more fitting. With 40 pounds of gear, food, and water on our backs, our lungs burning, and our legs rebelling, we still have more to go. Praise Tlaloc. It was beautiful. There are few things more stunning than an autumn mountain in northern New Mexico. The kind of beauty that raises your spirits and makes you forget the chaos of the morning. Deeply inhaling that brisk mountain air, we shook off the fog of sleep and fell into a steady pace up the slope, boots crunching through the understory as the ridgeline crept closer. And that's when I saw it. Something out of place against the trees. A large wooden cross, cleanly built from milled 4x4s, tucked behind a stand of ponderosas. On it, a name, and the inscription, "Even during the toughest part of his life, he conquered this mountain." Amazing. I called the crew over, and we quietly stood there staring at that cross, contemplating what a monumental pain in the ass it must have been to haul tools and lumber to the top of the mountain. Questions started flying. Who was this person? When was it built? How many others had found it and paused like we did? But our main question remained the same. Did we have anyone in our lives who would do the same for us? I poured out a little water in their memory, a small gesture for someone who clearly had the mountain in their blood. Then we packed up and carried on with the day's work, my mind constantly circling back to that cross and the story we'd never quite know. Later, back in town, I drifted through a few shops before the town settled in for the night. Taos shuts down early, too early, so I quickened my pace. A used bookshop, an antique store, and finally, a small, nondescript building with an A-frame sandwich board sitting out front that simply read, "Guns and Ammo." Inside, I was immediately greeted by a staff made up almost entirely of cops. Out of shape, military haircuts, that peculiar dead-eyed stare that says, "I've got nothing left to lose but my service weapon." My initial instinct was to turn right around and get the hell out of there. "Relax, goddammit," I reminded myself. "We don't want to arouse the suspicion of these trigger-happy bastards." I smiled and nodded, feigning interest in various rangefinders and tactical sights as they tracked my every move with their dimly lit eyes. And there it was. An SS dagger, complete with swastika-encrusted hilt and a matching belt, proudly on display behind glass. A small handwritten sign underneath read, "Not for sale," which was probably just code for "only for the true believers." Fascist nostalgia. The energy in the room shifted abruptly. I could sense the collective gaze on me come sharply into focus. I'm sure they get some sort of visceral thrill watching random shoppers react to the display. "Keep it cool, Kurly," I muttered. I turned around, walked up to the counter, and began thumbing through the various bumper stickers that they had for sale. The usual sort of boilerplate American paranoia you would expect to find in a shop like this. All Lives Matter, Antifa hunting license, and different dim-witted variations of MAGA-inspired slogans. Back at the hotel, whiskey in hand, I let the day play back in my mind. The morning had brought a heartfelt memorial. The evening, a run-in with the diseased underbelly of Trump's America. The visit to Guns and Ammo had left a sour taste in my mouth, but the quiet grace of the lonely memorial, that defiant little spark of decency in the wilderness, was far more powerful. It cut through the ugliness, a reminder that maybe, just maybe, not everything's gone completely to shit. There are still people out there trying to hold the line. And for tonight, that was enough. Time to get some sleep. Timoitase. Thank you for listening to Tales from Aztlantis, a project of the Chimali Institute of Mesoamerican Arts. If you enjoy the show, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do this by visiting talesfromaztlantis.com and clicking Support the Podcast. Your continued support will help keep the podcast ad-free and independent. Until next time, Timoitase.